Make the bumper drag the ground on the shaw every Sunday night just to clown on them things. From the front desk at my door just to get a peek freak motherfucker.
2 Glocks, 4/5, and AKs, cut off khakis, house shoes, and murder breaks. I stay flamed up.
Well, I don't know about being influenced by it, but I do listen to the new music. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate the new music. I actually like it. But my music is just a reflection of who I am.
The 90s era saw the rise and fall of one of the greatest Inglewood rappers. Mack 10 had everything any rapper could dream of: the connections, the charisma, the classic albums, and the street credibility. But there was one thing he didn't have: time.
I done went platinum a couple of times, not caring who else liked it. You know, we just did what we did, you know what I'm saying? Or I just did what I do, you know.
He was born and raised in the streets where violence was a routine. He was born in an era where authenticity and love with your roots mattered the most. This love gave him fame, but this same love turned him into a legend who never got the crown he deserved. What is the story of Mack 10's rise and fall? Let's dive into it. Born Dedrick Demond Rollison in 1971, Mack 10 had a passion for poetry and rap music since his childhood. He grew up listening to music, appreciating poetry, and dreaming of becoming one of the biggest rappers in Inglewood. He had a love for his region and wanted the West Coast to rule the rap industry.
Who do you remember being your main inspirations when you were young in terms of rap?
Man, I could say people like Ice-T, Eazy-E, you know, Run DMC was always a big influence.
He was in high school, appreciating all these rap legends, when he got the idea of becoming a part of mixtapes. There were numerous boys in his neighborhood and in the school who were creating small albums. He became a part of them in his teenage years to get local fame.
I was a teenager, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, first time. I don't remember what grade, but I had to be in high school or something. First time I really got in the studio.
He was slowly becoming famous in Inglewood when Ice Cube listened to his music and offered to collaborate with him. It was 1994, and they were planning to make a rap group that would represent the West Coast in music. The ideology was there, and it took them 2 years to act upon it.
We had did a couple of songs, and both songs came out tight. So it was like, damn, let's do a whole album and see how it turned out.
This duo gave golden songs to the rap world, telling fans that Mack 10 had everything in him to make history for West Coast rappers. He first appeared on Ice Cube's Bootlegs and B-Sides compilation, on the track What Can I Do remix.
I'm in the mix. It's 1986 and I got the fix with a chicken and a quota. Got the baking soda.
His local fame paved the way for him to sign up with Priority Records, the powerhouse label behind the biggest West Coast acts of the 90s. It was 1995 when he became a part of this label and dropped his self-titled debut album, Mack 10.
To San Francisco, bar trying to stomp and reload my dumper. Hit the ground, lost my hubcaps in my back bumper. Something at the Mosey-Wosey.
This album was supposed to be released in June of that year, but ahead of it, Priority released Mack 10's debut single, For Life,
In my leg, front and back over train tracks. On Dak and Herb, swerving.
which was co-written by Ice Cube. The video had cinematic representation, with Ice Cube giving a cameo appearance. The single peaked at number 71 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the United States, giving Mack 10 well-deserved fame. In short, the partnership struck gold, and the song became a coastal anthem, opening the door for a successive single, On Them Things.
I keep my heat on my seat, no doubt about it. It's my African. Some load you gotta let 15 Nates twist.
It's admitted Mack 10 is one of the rising voices of LA rap. After this, he and Ice Cube created the supergroup Westside Connection in 1996.
I'm tired of these towers. Evacuate the building. Look, here come a plane. No sable chicks, I ain't gon' hit.
Where they joined forces with WC. The trio was a powerhouse of West Coast pride, unapologetically defiant at a time when East Coast versus West Coast tensions were at their peak. Many East Coast critics and industry figures began dismissing West Coast rap as less lyrical or too gangsta. Ice Cube, Mack 10, and WC decided to respond with their debut album. Bow Down was a bold, defiant message that demanded respect for the West Coast and its culture. The album was released in 1996 and instantly became famous in the West.
Like, I never really heard a song that was this boastful and prideful about being where they're from, you know, because this is like many years removed from NW, and it was like, I don't know, I wasn't expecting that as a young kid, and that kind of blew my mind.
Ice Cube handled much of the lyrical firepower, spitting bars filled with ego and authority. while Mac 10 brought the Inglewood street edge, and WC supplied the gritty delivery that completed the trio's chemistry. There was authenticity and love for the West Coast in this album that made Mac 10 famous. This album became a massive hit, peaking at number 21 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 1 on the Hot Rap Songs chart. Mac 10 followed that success with the Based on a True Story album, which was released in 1997. This was his most acclaimed and successful solo project. The album's hit single, Backyard Boogie,
Throw your hands up high in the sky, represent where you're from, cause it's west till I die. Put it down anywhere, take that.
was a radio-friendly anthem that still felt street. The project hit number 14 on the Billboard album chart, marking the peak of Mac 10's commercial and creative powers. With features from Snoop Dogg, E40, and Ice Cube, and production from Ant Banks and Superfly, the album balanced mainstream polish with street realism. It's often considered Mac 10's career-defining masterpiece. At this point, his realistic, raw, and unfiltered music was echoing in the West Coast, making him a hero rapper who was loyal to his culture.
The second album, Based on a True Story.
Yeah.
And the first album, I think, went platinum.
Yeah.
Second album went platinum again.
Yeah.
Westside Connection went platinum.
Westside Connection went platinum.
So you got 3 platinums in a row.
Yeah.
The next year, in 1998, he released his third successful album, Recipe.
The gangsta rap fanatic, no static, shiver the radio and watch
I know that, I'm no joke, Black. You could quote that, I wrote that. My old Max
Rap scene from coast to coast and rolling 3-wheel motion from the woods to the ocean.
The album had plenty of big names like Master P, Mystical, Jermaine Dupri, and Old Dirty Bastard. It was the start of the heavily featured album era, and almost every hip-hop lover loved the chemistry and craftsmanship of different artists on this album. According to a review from the AV Club, The Recipe was considered one of the best West Coast gangsta rap releases of the late 90s. The Letter was Mac's solo turn on the album, and it became the centerpiece of Recipe. Mac 10's third album, 1998's The Recipe, was one of the best West Coast gangsta rap releases of the late 90s. A pop-savvy gem in which a small nation's worth of guest stars and cameos actually improved the overall product. It also offered, with The Letter, the Recipe's centerpiece and moral center, and Mac 10's only solo turn on the album, a surprisingly eloquent defense of gangsta rap. With all of it, this album was released under the label of Priority and Who-Bangin' Records, which was the private label of Mac 10. So, the world saw his business and mentor side through this album. As expected, the album also stole the hearts of people. It debuted at number 15 on the Billboard 200 and also reached number 6 on the Billboard Top Hip Hop Albums chart. The album was also certified gold by the RIAA. Mac 10 was happy with how this album turned out. He had connections, business, love, authenticity, and credibility. But in the years to come, he realized that Recipe wasn't his success, but a what-if moment in his career. In 1998, he released Who Bangin' mixtape,
You need, I'm from the west coast of bad seed with a bomb weed. Hollow points is my venom.
which featured a lot of new and old rappers on his label, Who Bangin' Records. But people didn't like it. The music industry was slowly evolving. People were slowly losing interest in classic music, but Mac 10 didn't realize this fact. Or, I must say, he didn't want to sacrifice the quality of his music to get fame.
If I cared about famous, it wouldn't have took me 14 years to do another record.
Right. It's been that long?
Yeah, 2009.
That was the last time you put out music.
Yeah.
After a bad response to Who Bangin' mixtape, he thought that people wanted to see his solo album. So, he started working on his album, Paper Route.
Yo, mouth, just leave it up to me. First class, living in luxury. Work that.
But when it was released in 2000, almost 3 years after Recipe, people didn't show any interest. In fact, critics labeled it as a tired release that had nothing significant in it. However, with the Paper Route, a tired and skimpy release that wallows in gangsta cliches and tiresome posturing, From the Streets gets it off to an abysmal start, matching Mac 10's trite lyrics to a monotonous, familiar beat. The new century had started. Mainstream media was preferring something else, but Mac 10 wasn't ready to say goodbye to Inglewood and the West Coast. So, people started losing interest in his classic material. Due to this, the Paper Route performed so badly that Priority Records decided to move on from Mac 10. But this didn't stop the legend. In fact, in 2001, he made an unexpected decision. He signed with Cash Money Records, the home to Lil Wayne, Juvenile, and Birdman. It was a bold cross-regional experiment. West Coast meets Dirty South. Mac 10 was hopeful that this bold move and unique music would capture the attention of people. They released Banger Ball in 2001.
No names, cause this addressed to all the haters. From the wood, there is none great.
and the feet chrome, so you know they gleaming.
And since I'm Westside connected, got the streets on hype. Test tubes, triple beams, make hits for the
Mack 10 was quite hopeful of this album's success because it featured Hate in Your Eyes.
feather in my wing, and all this hating just let me know I'm doing my thing. Sing.
It was produced by Dr. Dre and sampled the Bee Gees' Staying Alive.
Bang a Ball is one of my favorite records.
Bang a Ball,
because I went about it different. I had never made a record like that.
But despite its unique sound and Manny Fresh's Southern style production, the project failed to make a major commercial impact. Still, it proved that Mack 10 could adapt. He blended his LA roots with Southern swagger in a way that few West Coast rappers could. It showed that he was trying to remain relevant without giving up on Inglewood and the broader West Coast gangster rap scene. After that, in 2002, Mack 10 tried to revive his label with Mack 10 Presents The Hood.
LA's finest, along with Inglewood, he bustin' and hustling. So welcome to the hood, nigga.
The project included the regional anthem LA For Ya, which became a minor hit, played at Lakers and Clippers games. It was his only achievement in that year. While his popularity was going down, his friendship with Ice Cube was also suffering. There were internal conflicts and trust issues where Ice Cube thought that he was robbing the credit and royalties of their albums. He was uncomfortable with Mack 10's label. It became so bad that in 2005, Mack 10 said goodbye to Ice Cube.
#1 rap record in the country at the time, and it's on my label. Why would anybody with me need to rob anybody?
This breakup impacted his career quite badly, but Mack 10 remained cool. He released his last album in 2009 and vanished for almost 14 years.
Panoramic roofs and all of my Benzes, and whether my guap is clean or dirty, when I grow up, I wanna be a big baller, ballin' like it's no tomorrow.
Now he's back, trying different social media platforms like YouTube to become relevant in the field. But he is still not ready to say goodbye to his classic and authentic style.
When you put an album out in 2023, right? You're working on an album. Are you paying attention to what's hot right now, or are you just doing Mack 10?
I'm doing Mack 10.
Though he never quite reached the same household name status as some of his peers, his influence in the West Coast scene is indeed significant. We could get the idea of it from the fact that he sold nearly 11 million records in his career, combining solo and group work. What are your thoughts about him? Share them with us in the comment section, and also watch the video on the screen.